from Aussizz Group. And today, with me, we have Kamaljeet Singh. Welcome, Kamaljeet.
Hello,
And
Diljan. Hello, viewers. How are you?
thank you. We are both migration agents working at Aussizz Group, our city branch. And today we are here to discuss an important matter, which is the AAT, which many may be aware of and maybe have heard about it. So to get into more details, I would ask a few questions to Mr. Kamaljeet, and he will explain what is AAT and how the process goes and what we should consider and what we should do and not do. So before we just get into it, so I would just ask Kamaljeet to explain what is AAT and how does it work out.
Yes, guys. Slowly, while we are, joining on different sort of platforms, as my colleague Mr. Singh has mentioned, that this video is gonna be all about AAT, Administrative Appeals Tribunal. AAT is basically a tribunal body who has got a power to assess the case. You review your decision. That means, we have seen where a candidate has applied for the visa. Most of the time, it's an onshore. Means the visa has been lodged while in Australia, and they may not receive the outcome which they might be expecting.
Okay.
Given that, we might be seeing a lot of visas in regards to being refused, in regards to, let's say, for example, for student visas, GT criteria and stuff.
Yep.
So AAT is a body, which can review that decision on applicant's behalf, and
Okay.
if they believe you do have, sort of criteria which can be met, they might send the application back to the department to reassess the application. So basically, it's a good thing, Mr. Singh. People who are lodging the visa onshore are lucky in that situation that they have got this
Review
luxury,
rights. Yeah.
yes, review rights,
Yeah.
that they can go ahead and submit their AAT application if their visa has been refused.
Okay. So what we are saying is that basically, if somebody has got a visa refusal from the department, so we have the right to appeal that decision. So that's in a normal sense. We are basically what we are we're trying to say is that the department has made an error in judgment based on the things we are provided, and it's unfavorable to us. So what do you say that?
See, Mr. Singh, I wouldn't be using that word error, because it's depending upon that, let's say, for example, GT criteria in regards to student visa. So when a student visa gets refused, that doesn't mean it's an error. It's what the case officer feels like.
Okay.
Okay, they've got a discretion power
Okay.
and the direction. Okay, this is a regulation which nowadays we are seeing. In past couple of months, we did see visitor visa also being refused.
Yeah.
Where they are saying that your GT criteria does not meet.
That's right. Yeah.
Given that Australian citizen, PR, family members visas have been also refused in family sponsored visa streams as well.
Yeah.
So error would not be the word. It's more or less what I feel like. So this is a ridiculous sort of power which has been given to the departmental officer, that how he or she might be judging the applications on what sort of criteria they are judging. There are direction given, but sometimes case officer might start using their own sort of thinking in making those kind of decisions, that this person's visa must be refused.
Okay.
Yes.
No worries. So the next question comes is for this review rights. Does it apply to all onshore visas, or it's like sort of a special category where you have rights and don't have rights? Is there anything as such?
See, with the AAT, Mr. Singh, we have got sort of regulations which we have to follow under that, whether we're gonna go into that review sector or not.
Okay.
Most of the visas which are lodged onshore will be coming up with the review rights.
Okay.
There are some only visas which are from offshore where review rights are given.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that case, some of example would be a partner visa being lodged offshore.
Yeah. Okay.
We might have a review right. So yes, most of the visas which are lodged onshore, will have review rights.
Okay.
And some of the visas which are lodged offshore will have review rights to review the decision with the AAT. Yes.
All right. So moving on, we've just got an understanding of what AAT is and who can apply for AAT and what are the visas they are doing for. But one more thing I would like to see, I've heard, like we have seen, there's a time period, when can you, if you have a decision from the department, to refuse any sort of a visa onshore and you want to review it. So what is the time limit? When should you do it? And is that flexible or any other options?
See, the time limits are very strict, Mr.
Okay.
Singh, that, AAT has got very strict policies in regards to, the time limits of the, lodging the AAT review application. Given that you are given 21 days after the day you have received the refusal. Okay, so you will have 21 days from onshore, and for offshore they give you 70 days, considering, because you are an offshore applicant. Okay, so we have seen, Mr. Singh, that AAT will come up with an invalid sort of application if you go past those 21 days.
All right. Okay.
Unless there are compelling reasons. So compelling reasons, sometimes we have seen that people, when they are lodging the AAT, or sometimes the agent has forgot to send them the refusal, or all those kind of things kick in. If there are no compelling, compassionate reasons, AAT will not consider your application as a valid application, and they might, say, we do not have any kind of jurisdiction because you have gone past that 21 days. But if the member feels like, that you have got a compassionate or compelling reasons which must be taken into consideration, they may assess your application as a valid application. So, but yeah, they're pretty, strict. So, guys, if you have lodged any kind of visas, make sure, for some unfortunate reason, if you have, got the refusal from the department, which is, it's better we prepare our application for review within 21 days.
21 days. Yes. All right. So talking about the time frame, generally in this age, it's everything is done by email. So is there any sort of a situation where you get the refusal letter or information via post or any other means, and then how do you calculate there if it happens in such cases?
Yeah, so in that case, they will be given extra time period. There will be very rare sort of cases where department will send you a post, a registered post, or because most of the visas nowadays, we are in 2022, people are preferring to go through a sort of this technology sort of process.
That's right. Yeah.
But yes, if department has decided to give you a refusal on the basis of post, they might give you extra time period for counting those duration for the AAT.
Okay.
Yes.
No
So
worries. All right, guys, moving on forward, we have seen the time frames, we have discussed the time frames, and the next thing that comes to the mind is the charges. So what are the fees and structures, and do we have to pay upfront, and how does that work out? Can you just share some more thoughts on that?
yes, in regards to fees, it's not that sort of cheap to apply for the AAT. It's going to cost us approximately $3,153 at the moment. Previously, it used to be less. But again, if you will win the AAT, means your application is successful in the AAT, half of that amount, they will refund you the amount, given that, department has made sort of, error, not that error word we can use, that you must have been granted the visa. So half of that amount, basically, they will refund you if you win the AAT.
That means, okay, if you're successful at the AAT, guys, so you will be refunded half the amount which you have paid. So the half of $3,153. So yeah, obviously, but at that time, so winning is more important. And I would just moving forward on this issue, I would just like to add one more question. If somebody has been refused a visa and he is offshore at that moment when he has got that refusal letter, so in that situation, can he lodge from offshore, or does he need to come back and do something about it?
Yes, definitely. Before we answer that question, I think one of our viewer is getting overexcited because we have just been pinned by our marketing team. Then one of our viewer, Ash, wants to get an answer. How long immigration takes after Section 56 for the 190? Section 56 is basically an immigration request, guys, which you will receive for any kind of visa where they require for the information in regards to your application. It might be a police check, a health examination, your evidence of relationship, or any other sort of information which the departmental officer requires. There is no sort of a set duration, but depending upon what kind of request they have made.
Absolutely.
If it is like a health examination request, or if it is like a police checks, I don't think so they should be taking that long to make a decision. But again, being that they are less with the staff, so it's always advised that when you are submitting the application, we must be submitting them with the ready to submit application. So he said it was PCC and medical. So given that, that is not that big sort of an request.
Yeah.
So I'll probably say I should probably wait another 3 months, 88 days.
Okay.
You might have an answer soon.
All right. So guys, before we move on to the next question, we have a viewer, and she wants to know how long it will take an AAT since 2020. So any answer to that?
ਗਗਨਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ, ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਸ਼ੋ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਜੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਵੀਜ਼ੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। 2020 most of the time I am assuming it might be employer sponsor.
Okay.
If you can little bit guide us on what kind of visa we are justifying or you are requiring an answer, then we can guide you further. Yes, she has answered that it's a 187 visa. So Diljan, considering 187 visa, we are hoping that immigration will kick into your case.
Yep.
Because we have seen application are taking like nearly 2 to 3 years when they are considering their employer sponsor sort of visas. And nomination refuse ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਆਟੋਮੈਟਿਕਲੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਰਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਗਗਨ ਜੀ। ਤਾਂ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਕੇਸ, if you got some kind of a case in their front circle, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ 187 ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਰੀਅਸੈਸ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਆਪਣੇ ਏਜੰਟ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ AAT ਦੀ ਫਾਈਲ ਖੁੱਲਣੀ ਹੈ ਗਗਨ ਜੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇਹ ਵੇਖਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਮ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹੀ ਪੈਕੇਜ ਹੈ, ਕਿੰਨੇ ਘੰਟੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ। ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ 187 ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਟਸੈਲਫ ਉਹਦੀ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਰਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋਈ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ ਜੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿੱਤਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਟੇਰੀਆ, ਜੈਨੂਅਨ ਨੀਡ ਆਫ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ, ਯੂਅਰ ਸੈਲਰੀ ਜਸਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਰੀਅਸੈਸ ਕਰ ਲਓ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ 2020 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਾਈਲ ਲੌਂਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਨੀਅਰਲੀ 2023 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛੇਗਾ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਵਰਕਰ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ। ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਯੈਸ ਆਈ ਐਮ ਡੂਇੰਗ 40 ਆਵਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਸਟਿਲ ਵਰਕਿੰਗ, ਵਿਚ ਇਜ਼ ਗੁੱਡ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਵਿਚ ਇਜ਼ ਵੈਰੀ ਗੁੱਡ। ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਜੋ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਗਗਨ ਜੀ, ਉਹ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਆਪਣੇ ਏਜੰਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗਿਵਨ ਦੈਟ ਆਈ ਡੋਂਟ ਥਿੰਕ ਸੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਰਿਫਿਊਜ਼ਡ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਰਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਟੋਮੈਟਿਕਲੀ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਰਿਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ ਆਪਣਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਦੱਸੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਏਜੰਟ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਲਓ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਵਰਕਰ ਦੀ, ਹਨਾ, ਹਾਂ, ਜੈਨੂਅਨ ਨੀਡ ਆਫ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸੈਲਰੀ, ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਚਾਰਟ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਵਰਕਆਊਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਮੂਵਿੰਗ ਫਾਰਵਰਡ।
Yeah. So moving forward, guys, we have answered that question that I was asking this question before we went on that discussion, that can anyone apply from offshore, for the review if somebody is offshore at the time of refusal?
Mr. Singh, yes, if there are compelling reason, fellows, in regards to your visa and you are offshore, let's say, for example, a student visa, I was offshore on a bridging visa, my visa got refused, I'm in hospital unconscious. Yes, you can lodge because there are compassionate reasons and compelling reason existing, but there is no such reason that, I couldn't catch a flight.
Okay.
These are not basically compelling, compassionate reasons.
Okay.
So yes, you may be eligible only on certain grounds from offshore, or else it is always advised that as soon as you get the refusal, your agent must be smart enough to send you those refusal visa copies, so that you have 21 days to come back and lodge your AAT in timely manner.
All right, viewers, so that's what we heard from Kamaljeet. Okay, so that if somebody is in a situation where they are offshore when they have got this refusal, so it's better to act immediately, and get plans back on track and come back to Australia as soon as possible, so that you have enough time to lodge your AAT and you don't miss that opportunity to review your application. All right, so we have talked about refusals, and we have talked about the time frames and other stuff. So the next question comes to my mind. So when we have decided to lodge an AAT, so what are the documentations that we need to submit at the time of application?
See, at the time of application, Diljan, we always advise our clients that they must try to, submit as much as possible helpful documents to the member. Okay, because what will happen is when member is allocated, if your documents are pretty strong, they will make a decision quicker on your application, which in most of the times would be favorable. But given that, if you do not have those kind of documents, then it's always advised that at the lodgement you should at least submit your refusal and your sort of identification, like which can be passport. And yes, lodge your AAT.
All right. So what you're saying is, even like if you don't have all the necessary or required documents at the time of application, so we can definitely upload them when we get them in the future, right?
Yes. So see, again, basically, let's take an example of this applicant we were talking to, Gagandeep Kaur said, we had a nomination refused.
Yep.
So nomination refuse will have a reason why the nomination has, not been approved.
Absolutely. Okay.
So when you guys are lodging an AAT, or if your AAT is still in process, guys, try to give them, their strong financial documents, which will be current. Okay. So now, like in her case, we have seen the AAT was lodged in 2020.
Yep.
So we are still waiting on the financials, profit and loss statement, your bank statement, lease agreement, rate notice, all those kind of documents which satisfy the to the AAT that that basically the restaurant is still in process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So lodgement is one thing, you can lodge the application, but what member, we should try to help the member by giving the supporting documents without even them asking for
it. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's what we are saying, so whenever you have a refusal, there's a reason behind that. So if we can address that reason in our, when we're applying for the AAT, a review. So if we can support documents that convince the member that this is this is our point of view, and we have all the necessary documents to prove that, that would help your case and help you win the case as well.
Yes.
So all right. So what we have, the next question is like, we hear about AAT and we have that AAT cases going on. So is it that we just put in all the documents and submit the application? So what's the next step? What happens after that?
See, with the AAT, that's the people make, the big mistake is when they submit the AAT, especially we are talking about employer sponsors, we are talking about partner visa applications. When we are into the AAT, it's more or less, even if the AAT due to the workload or shortage of members working hours, if they are taking long, Mr. Singh, we should make sure that, you should keep giving them the supporting documents.
Okay. All right.
That gives us extra time, to support our application.
All right.
Rather than you should just fall asleep, and you are not even worrying about your application.
Yep.
Okay. I would not practically advise you that. So let's say, for example, if your partner visa has been refused on the basis that if immigration the officer believes that your relationship is not genuine, in that case, if AAT is taking like 1 year or 2 years, you will have that time to make sure you are providing them all those 4 pillars, your social sort of activities, your financial, all those kind of documents, so that when the AAT member is allocated, they can use those fresh documents to make a fresh decision on the application.
All right. That's good, very handy information. Yeah, we have seen a lot of cases that people, whether they have applied themselves or through, taking help from agents. So what happens is they have uploaded a document when they've applied for it, and then, like you said, they have gone to sleep, because the AAT did not get in touch with them for a long period, so they didn't bother to, upload anything or ask for it. So like you said, guys, it's always helpful, even if there's no request, that is a good thing. But again, you keep updating them and keep updating your file, so that whenever the officer allocated or they have opened up your file, they have all the handy information, and that they can make a good positive decision in a quick time.
Yes.
All right, that's very helpful. And other thing is it possible that the member, like we're talking, if you provide supporting documents, and will that decision be made based on those things, or will they ask for some more information, or what happens after that?
See, normally what happens is, Mr. Singh, let's say, for example, if a person has lodged an AAT, they will request for further information if the member cannot make a decision on the basis of what information they have in their, system or with them. So let's say, for example, in the case of a student visa refusal, they will request for your current COE. They will request for your, current application form, and your immigration history is requested as well. So what they are trying to do there is they are trying to understand your case, that what is happening with your current situation. So sometimes what will happen is, people who have lodged their AAT, they will just, let's say, for example, I've lodged a student visa, my visa got refused. I can't even bother studying further.
Yeah,
In that
absolutely,
case,
yeah.
what I'll probably do is I'll just say, that's it, just I'm not gonna study anymore.
Yeah.
I'll lodge the AAT to buy time, which is a very bad thing. Then in that sense, when the member is getting allocated to you, they will request for your current status COE.
Okay.
They can also access that information from their side through prisms. But the thing is, what they are trying to understand is that if is the person still genuinely studying the course.
Okay.
Okay, so they will, then comes the agent's sort of responsibility to make sure that he is also up to the mark, and providing the AAT with the supporting documents
Okay.
to make a decision on your application. So
Right.
yes, they will be requesting those documents to
Yes,
make a decision.
yes. So since we're talking about student visa and the refusal regarding students, what happens like if somebody has been refused a visa? So what you recommend? Should they, like many people think, okay, since it has been refused, it'll take a long time. By the time it is decided, I will finish my studies. So there's no point in studying. So let's wait till the decision is made and then we can continue. So what is the right approach to this situation?
See, first of all, Mr. Singh, this is a very negative approach that a person is, thinking that once I've lodged the visa, my AAT is gonna take a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is no such thing. Your AAT application might open up within, 1 day, or they might open up within 6 months, 5 months. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
So they shouldn't be coming up with this kind of approach. Our main motive here was to is, okay, we're gonna complete our studies, go back home. So we start focusing on studies.
Okay.
So if you are not focusing on our studies, then the worst case scenario, what's going to happen is, your COE is going to get cancelled.
Absolutely.
And if your COE got cancelled, how we're going to win the AAT? Because member will basically say, okay, you don't have COE, you're not a genuine student, that's it.
Yeah,
they will firm the decision, and then we got basically no power to win the AAT.
All right. So that's what we're saying, guys. So whatever visa you have applied for, and if you're in a situation, so try to, if it's a student visa or an employer sponsored, like he will be talking about, so you should try to maintain all those conditions, as long as, the AAT is in process. Don't just relax that we will see what happens after the decision is made. So continue doing what you're doing, so that whenever you are at the AAT, you have the higher chances of winning the case, But if you just leave it up and just, relax and say, okay, we'll see what happens then their chances, it decreases by a very big margin. So just like concentrate and build up the documents, and study for studying, keep studying, so that you have maximum chances to win it. All right. So talking about AAT again, the next thing that comes to our mind is hearing. We have heard, that a lot of people talking about that we have got a hearing. So what is basically hearing, and how is it related to?
See, first of all, Mr. Singh, the hearing can be, during this pandemic, they have changed that the hearing can be conducted via telephone or video conference. Now AAT is, I think, planning to make this sort of a practice permanently.
Okay.
Because they can see the cases are going on pretty quick, and they are making a decisions.
Okay.
What is a hearing? Hearing is basically a process where the member, which was allocated your case, he is still not satisfied with the sort of documentations which you have provided to the AAT, and he needs to seek further information in regards to your visa application or your nomination applications.
Okay.
So this is again a very good opportunity for the applicant to make basically oral evidence, we should say, to support his review application.
All right.
Okay. So as you know, it can be a video conference, it can be a telephonic sort of hearing method, but it gives the applicant a very sort of best opportunity to present his case verbally. There will be a lot of documents, where you will be writing down, your agents will be writing down long submissions, supporting documents, but sometimes the oral evidence is more sort of convincing to the member rather than the documented evidence. Absolutely. So hearing is that kind of a process where your agent or your representative, I should use the word, will basically assess your case again. They will try to educate you on what happens at the hearing. Their role there is to basically assist you at the hearing, so that what happens is basically if the applicant understands the process, they understand how the application works and how the AAT works, there are high chances that the AAT member will make a favorable decision on that application.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have heard, like telephone on the phone is all right, but like when people hear that we have to go for hearing, some people get very, very nervous, that because it's a hearing. So basically, even if they know everything, the situation, then they are prepared for it. Still, the situation makes them a bit nervous, and they may, in that situation, say something, which they didn't intend to say, or they didn't know what they're saying. Sometimes that situation happens. So that's, guys, obviously always try to be relaxed, and take it easy. And then, like, obviously, your representative will guide you, how to prepare for it, and you just take it coolly, and everything should be all right. And I would just like to ask, that with all these AAT cases, is this hearing mandatory, or it's just up to the officer?
See, again, it's not mandatory.
Okay.
If the member is basically convinced by the sort of information he has in front of his in desk, and he believes that there is such kind of evidence is existing, that your application must be remitted back to the department for reconsideration, hearing is not required.
Okay.
Okay, but if, as I've mentioned previously, the mandatory word is not there, is up to the member whether he requires the hearing or not.
Okay.
So I should also mention another thing: when we are invited for the hearing, we are given certain duration to respond to that invitation of hearing.
Okay.
So if you fail to respond, that the member might make a decision without even notifying you, for the process. So basically, if you are invited for hearing, guys, make sure you are filling out that form, so that you have that opportunity to attend the hearing with the AAT member, and try to convince them to show supporting documents, and further, it gives us a strong chance, Diljan. So mandatory, no, it's not mandatory. Required by the member if he needs to or she needs to. More or less, it is in our benefit.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So basically, I would say, probably, if there is a choice whether I should go into hearing or not, I'll probably say let's go into hearing, so that we have got a decision sort of in our favor.
All right. So one question that's come to my mind, like we're talking about documentation, providing documentation, to the AAT. So is it possible, if somebody wants to provide the document on the day of the hearing, any sort of a document, is that possible?
See, first of all, when we are going into hearing, normally case office, not the case office, the member will request you to at least submit the documents, 24 hours prior, so that he or she has a time
to review that. Okay.
Yes, to read the document, what it's all about. In certain cases, if you believe you are waiting on some kind of a document, and you have uploaded the document, maybe, say, for example, an hour ago or something, you can request the member to review the document, because you were waiting, it was not under your hands. For example, you are waiting for a financial a letter from a financial institute, and there was a public holiday or something going around, or holidays going around in the country, and that might have took time. So yes, so during that day, I would not recommend to submit all the documents, because you're just gonna frustrate the member, like what he's gonna basically go hearing into. There is no such evidence, because he might come up with a mindset where there are no documents, he might start asking questions.
All right.
But yeah, it's always better that we must be submitting documents prior to the hearing in our sport.
All right, so that's we know the importance of submitting the documents prior, so that it gives enough time for the member to review a case, study the case. If you last moment things, obviously he has other sort of a time and the time limits, and it won't make sometimes not possible for him to read on the spot. Like you said, if financial and all, that's fine, but again, it's not recommended. So moving on, for this hearing, what is the sort of is there any sort of a standard sort of period, the way the member needs to make a decision, or conduct that hearing, like some time frame?
See, normally they will request for at least 3 hours, because the hearing might take time. The decisions, now they might give you the oral decision right then.
Okay.
If they need to review any sort of information, they will update you in the hearing that we're gonna give you the decision later on. But yes, they do expect the window time frame within 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay.
It may or may not go longer, depending upon what kind of visa we are dealing with that.
Okay.
But normally, considering, let's say, for example, for the student visas hearings, we are expecting around about 1 hour,
1 hour
to 2 hours. But yes, the window time frame they always request for is to be available for the hearing is 3 hours.
All right. So since we are already talking about the timing, I would just like to understand, like, many clients have representatives, at the AAT. So what is their role? So when the hearing is on, So what does, for example, if somebody has hired a migration agent to represent him at that hearing, so what does he has to do in that at that time?
See, first of all, Mr. Singh, in regards to hearings,
Yeah.
one should understand that as a representative, we need to educate our client.
Okay.
That what is AAT,
Okay.
what is their role,
Mhm.
what is this application, how we're gonna win this. It's basically we have to try and help them out, explain the situations,
Okay.
try to gather as many as document possible,
Possible. Okay.
because we should not be lodging the AAT application, and we should not be neglecting the case. Okay, we should try to make sure that okay, this is the client. Let's say, for example, partner visa has been refused. Now it has been 1.5 years.
Mhm.
Okay, a member has given us the hearing. Let's try and gather as much as document possible
Possible. Yeah.
to help that hearing process.
Alright.
So that in future, let's say when it is the hearing,
Mhm.
applicant will have those documents
Mhm.
already submitted to the AT,
Okay.
and he will be making those oral evidences on the basis showing, I've submitted this to AAT, you
Yes.
can see this, I've submitted this to AAT, you can see this.
Yep.
Okay, so it just makes the life easier.
Okay.
But role of an agent or a representative is more like, educating, representing themselves,
Okay.
professionally to the AAT and
Okay.
helping the applicant to
Mhm.
understand the process and,
Okay.
basically trying to make sure that how AAT works,
Okay.
what documents are required in AAT.
All right.
Okay, and what is the member, what is his powers, so
Okay.
that in future, it's both ways. You're trying to help the AAT as well, so that the client is educated on the process, how it's gonna go,
Okay.
and then there are chances, for winning the AAT.
Right. So what you're saying is, when the hearing is on, so basically the member, he just asks us questions and information from the applicant itself, right?
Yes, during the hearings, there will be a series of questions which will be requested for the applicant to be answered, because there would be certain documents which you have submitted, but there might be some questions
Yeah.
which members still believe that must be answered before they can make a decision on their application.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, there are sort of questions which member might ask for it.
Okay.
So yes, it is a process where only documents doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay, let's say for example, if I have I say okay, I have got a child,
Yeah. Okay.
but I haven't submitted birth certificate.
That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a sort of vice versa process where member will come up with sort of a series of questions
Okay.
where they believe that this area you need to answer. But the good thing about it is, Diljan, let's say for example, my student visa has been refused on the basis of not providing financial documentation.
Okay.
AT members will specifically focus on that particular area.
issue. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, they will assess your application again from the scratch.
Okay.
Okay, and if they find anything, they will question it. But their main area is to, basically we have seen they are focusing only on that particular sort of
reason.
area, that why the visa was refused.
Okay.
Okay, let's say for example, 485 refusal. Okay, the candidate didn't submitted AFP.
Yeah.
Okay, so they will request for AFP, and that's it. Most of the cases, the hearing is not even required unless there is any sort of adverse information
Okay.
to the AT. So at the at the hearing, yes, it's basically sort of a easy process both ways, from member to the applicant, applicant to the member,
Okay.
to understanding what's happening with the application,
All right.
to make a favorable decision.
All right. So since we have to come to the sort of decision making process, I would just like to, what are the various options that an AAT member has, whether on the spot or in the decision later on. So what are the things that he can do, apart from we say we have won the AAT. So what are the options that he has, in regards to application?
See, in regards to application, which is review application, members have, AAT will come up with the powers. They will remit your decision if member believes that you must have been given the visa.
Okay.
Or they will affirm the decision, saying that whatever the immigration has made a decision on, they agree upon. Okay, they will set aside the cases. Okay. Now, considering the word which you want to hear is called remit.
Remit.
That means basically a member believes there are sort of grounds existing, or there are sort of reasons why this application must be reconsidered.
Yeah. Okay.
So what will happen is they will remit the decision. That means the application will go back to the department.
Okay.
Okay, and the department is the one which comes up with those powers executive powers where they will execute the decision,
Okay.
and then they will give the decision again on the application. Now, most of the times it might be a favorable decision,
Okay.
but immigration will have a power again to reassess the whole application,
Okay.
and make a decision on, let's say, for example, first of all, my visa got refused on the basis that I never provided AFP.
Okay.
And when the AFP was provided, AAT said, okay, you never provided AFP, here's the AFP, send back to the department.
Yep.
But now the department says, okay,
that is the criteria.
there is something else missing
Okay.
in the application. So it's pretty sort of
Alright.
easy process in a way, but it may cause issue
Okay.
if in future
All right.
immigration might come up and ask you further questions as well.
All right. So what we are saying is that, if we say that we have won at the AAT, that
Mhm.
means it's not that we have got the visa back immediately, so it goes back to the department. And then we have to wait for them to analyze, assess the whole application. So in a sense, we have won at the AAT means we have been given more time, right? And we can, hope for the best, but again, there's nothing certain about that, what the department comes up with. And hopefully, like Kamaljeet was saying, most of the times, it is like sort of favorable decision, but again, it all depends upon their department and how
Yes,
they,
whatever the request.
yeah, whatever the rules, whatever the sections and acts say, they would just follow that.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else do we need to add to that today?
Yes, couple of things I want to mention is, guys, if you are lodging any kind of visa application with the immigration, okay, just make sure that whatever the documents are required, decision ready application must be submitted to the case officer. If I am personally a case officer, I would not love that application which is missing information. Okay, because again, it's a time consuming situation there. Moreover, if there is a refusal for sort of a reason that where you believe that I shouldn't have got the refusal,
Okay.
okay, there are chances that
Okay.
you can get your decision reviewed with the AAT,
Mhm.
but make sure that again supporting documents must be there. Okay, given that there are chances to win the AAT, but again, winning the AAT is not that easy. It's more or less how we're going to present the case.
And
So
convince, yeah.
yes, so it's always recommended that if you are stuck in those type of a situation, you come and seek professional advice, so that
Absolutely,
we
yeah.
can help you and assist you with your AAT matters.
All good. All right, guys, that was it from us today. So I hope this was a informative session, and look forward to everyone for joining us for the upcoming sessions. And if you have any queries, you can email us, you can visit office, give us a call, and we would be more than happy to help you, not only with AAT matters, but any sort of visa informations, or help with any sort of immigration advice. So we are always here to help you, and you are welcome here. So, and we have a lot of branches all over Melbourne, so you can visit your nearest branch. And we are here, like we told, me and Kamal, we work at the Collins Street branch. So you are more than welcome to come here if you have, if you are accessible here, and we would do our best to help you. And thank you, Kamaljeet, for that informative session on AAT. I hope it was helpful for everybody, and looking forward, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.